Ain't he good looking? Now we have the Eisner Award winning and many other awards. So proud to say this, Matt Wagner. In about 2 minutes, you're only going to want to talk to Matt and Quentin, so, you know, I'm getting in as much as I can. And last but not least, of course, the man who makes it all happen, Mr. Quentin Tarantino. I think one of the things that we're really going to get to be able to talk about here is that when you've got two great visionaries like Matt and Quentin working on a comic, comics are pure labors of love, unlimited budget. It's just making sure you have the right collaboration, the right artist working with you, pulling what you have in your mind, pulling it and working with you and making it the best it can be. And you know, I've got nothing else to say, but thank you to everybody, and take it away, Alan.
I mean, the first question is really pretty simple, and anyone jump in to talk about this. Who the heck approached who about doing this in the first place?
That's you, Reggie.
Yes. Hey, everybody.
Ain't he handsome?
So, Quentin and I are at dinner. I say, Quentin, here's an idea. What do you think? Django meets Zorro. And Quentin said,
I love the idea. I mean, one of the things about it that I liked so much was the fact that not only do I like Western comics in general, grew up reading Western comics, is I've also really loved Zorro and all the different incarnations of Zorro, whether it be the Guy Madison, Guy Williams, Disney show, whether it be the William Whitney Zorro's Fighting Legion, whether it be all the different movies of it. And the thing that I thought was just such a great idea was the idea of taking like the most famous fictional Mexican Western hero and putting him with one of the newer famous black fictional Western heroes and putting them together and having them fight oppression more around California, Arizona way.
it's a beautiful thing. Or as Quentin said, when I threw the idea at him, he said, they both had O at the end of the names.
Yes.
I said, yes. And he said, black and brown fight together. I said, yes. One of the many things I love about Quentin is that I don't have to hide my political agenda because it's the same as his.
Yeah, right.
So he was excited for the same reason I was, that this was the coolest idea ever. So I called Nick, I said, let's do this. Now, Nick then provided us with the vast array of the great Dynamite library. And Quentin plunged in. And he really loved Matt Wagner's work on Zorro, which who doesn't? Yeah. He's an extraordinary writer, great novel, an amazing body of work.
No, I think if they were to literally just take Matt's books the way they are just right now, and just did it as a TV series, it would be the best Zorro TV series ever made.
Oh, it's awesome.
Anybody?
Quentin, Reggie, shall I take it to the rights holders? You guys want to produce it?
Things get chat. So Quentin did something I actually, it was very, he said, hey, let's work with this guy. This guy's a great writer. I said, I agree. And one of the great pleasures was the day that Matt flew into Los Angeles and we all met at Quentin's house and the brainstorming began. And I have to say, watching these two fantastic minds, both steeped in history, both well-known and obscure, and fantastic storytellers, and watching them weave their love of Django and Zorro into an exquisite, well, you'll just see it for yourself. The work, I knew that this was going to be not just historical because Quentin was actually extending the life of one of his brilliant creations, but it was going to be a collaboration for the ages. So I'm as excited as you are as I read the scripts and know that this is going to be a fantastic book.
Yeah, and I have to say that first meeting that Reggie's talking about there, when I flew down to get together with Quentin, kind of a singular vision creator, and so is Quentin, and didn't know how that would mesh, you know. And Quentin might be an asshole. I might be an asshole. You don't know.
Yeah.
And it turned out, I mean, it just felt like we've kind of known each other for years.
Oh, no, absolutely.
We're about the same age, we have the same points of reference, we love the same stuff, and it was just kind of like, boom, let's roll.
Well, you know, there's actually, one of the things that was actually really interesting about it was, you know, I'm looking at, well, I mean, first, I was like, well, we'll take care of Django when we get to it. This has got to work as a Zorro book.
Yeah.
You know, as the next extension of the Zorro book, and you're going to be those are your Bibles. All right, so I'm looking to him as the Zorro expert. However, I have seen a lot of the different Zorro or Zorro-ish type of movies and serials over the course of the years, and then and just when I heard about the idea of Zorro Django, I started rewatching some of them and trying to brainstorm. So I was like, well, hey, what do you think about this? And maybe we could attack the story this way. But you know, it's like, you're going to know what's best as far as Zorro is concerned. But let me show you these ideas and whatever. And then literally, it was just kind of one foot in front of the other. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. But we watched about like 3 hours of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you start working with people, you like to screen movies for them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're going to watch movies all weekend. Okay, all right, great. And so we watched a bunch of great movies and kicked around a bunch of great ideas, and everything just started to flow. Just ideas were pop. I said to you, there was a lot of, yes, I love that, flying back and forth across the table.
And the thing with Django is, you know, if I don't know if I'll ever do a movie sequel to it, but if I did, it would kind of, you know, it would have to be connected to something to the first movie in kind of an epic kind of way. But I always did love the idea of there being, I mean, Reggie talked about it, there being like Django paperbacks. You know, just like the further adventures of them.
Max Brandon.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And, or, you know, Splintering in a Mind's Eye or something. It's its own little adventure. But when we actually went to talk to people about doing them, I could never just let go. I couldn't just let go and let some guy do it, and you know, I'd read their synopsis and like, oh, you're effing up the mythology. That's not what Django would do, and Schultz actually really doesn't feel that way. So I did want to do something like that, but I knew I just couldn't quite let it go. And this was the perfect opportunity to me. And also, I was so happy with the way the Django Unchained comic book came out that I was like, no, I think this is the way to follow the story.
Yeah, and again, as you can tell, I mean, when Quentin and I first started hanging out 15 or so years ago, you know, before whatever well, I guess you were prepping for Inglorious, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was still in the works. We watched Zorro.
In fact, the first time I was there, Quentin it was a year ago, just post San Diego. Quentin had just been to San Diego, and you had bought up stacks and stacks of the Marvel black and white mags from the 70s. So like, you know, Dracula Lives, Tales of the Zombie, Savage Sword of Conan, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, and that's my era too. And you have to remember, those of you a little too young, you know, those magazines were put out at the time to escape the comics code. And they weren't racked with regular comics. They were always on the upper magazine racks in the magazine stores. And so as a 13-year-old, they felt really dangerous and illicit. You know? You'd go over and you'd like, take one and see what anyone's watching. And so we geeked out over those for
just
an hour probably.
Well, as we got together, I had just like completely reconnected with my love of 70s era comics, and started following some characters that I hadn't didn't read when I was younger, but I sort of fell in love with Morbius the Living Vampire, read everything, and I fell in love with Tigra the Werewolf. Love Tigra the Werewolf. You know, and I'm plowing through West Coast Avengers right now to finish her arc. So I was all involved with all of that, and it was just the perfect time to go over and brainstorm a story.
Yeah.
So for my second question.
Are we that far ahead already?
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about this. Zorro has met other people in the Dynamite universe. He's a version of him is with the Shadow. He had a team up with the Lone Ranger. How is this team up going to be different for what we've seen with Zorro team up so far? And also, how do you blend the atmospheres of the two characters.
The biggest difference between this team up and the other team ups is
when I first went down, I thought, okay, well, Django takes place 4 years before the Civil War.
Yeah.
So we're Civil War era, and of course Zorro's in his prime around 1915, 1912. I thought, well, we're going to have a legacy Zorro. We're going to have a new Zorro. And so I went down with some ideas about how we would affect that, and Quentin just shot that right. He's like, no, I want Zorro to be old. I want to have old Zorro. And so we very much have a kind of, Luke and Obi-Wan sort of relationship.
I was very much like, no, he's got to be your Zorro.
Yeah,
we can't make him do Zorro up.
Because
everything that happened had to happen,
in our world.
Yeah.
I think the audience might have stuff that they want to ask us.
Whoa.
So, you might have noticed a microphone.
You're not going to ask about the story or anything?
I think the audience probably has questions about the story.
Okay.
We hope.
If not, we're going to tell you.
Right. Although quickly though, it is going to be how many issues?
6 issues.
6 issues. And what's the ending?
Zorro and Django kick ass.
Hi. Given that John Travolta and Michael Madsen are both too old to do the Vega Brothers prequel now, any ideas about maybe doing it as a comic book or any other comic books you might start?
Oh, wow.
Yes, please.
Actually, I hadn't had that idea before until you put it in my head. I think that'll have to go in the old brain pan. We'll see. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, good afternoon. Wow, I'm pretty excited about talking to you. I'm a very big fan, and actually today it's my birthday. So yeah, so I have a very similar question to the guy right up before me. Since you're now getting into this comic business and you have a lot of material with a lot of characters, with a lot of backstories that we don't know much about, only you in your head, you know all the stories of all of them. I was wondering if you're gonna say something about Dr. King Schultz, for example.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I wouldn't be too surprised if, in a flashbacky kind of form, Dr. Schultz doesn't make an appearance in Django and Zorro.
Which of course fits into Quentin's, kind of standard non-linear sort of storytelling.
And actually, what's going on with that actually is I wrote this one scene that I really liked for the film, but I didn't even ever put it in the finished script because the script was already too long as it was. But I always liked it. It was just like, you know how you show Schultz's modus operandi, how he comes into town and turns up everything and then kind of always talks his way out. Well, I had one more of those that I really liked, but we didn't need it. But I always liked the scene. And so when I was talking to Matt, I go, why don't we just take this whole scene, just the way I wrote it, just kind of stick it in as a flashback? And he's like, oh, that's great.
It's terrific, too. It's great. Yeah.
Now,
but in keeping with that, I want to see Jules walking the earth.
Yeah, right.
I want to see Marty Green's daughter come back.
The origin of Bill.
Yep. So, how about it? Anybody up for those?
Yeah. With the three godfathers, Esteban Pajeo, Hattori Hanzo, and Pai Mei.
along those lines, I mean, we can talk about this as a sequel. Is this a sequel that takes place like a week later, or
No, it takes place. No, it takes place. They're both older.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just on the cusp of the Civil War. It hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah.
Of course, he blew up a whole plantation full of white people.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically he's basically had to kind of separate himself for her own safety.
Yeah. He basically dropped her off in like Philadelphia. All right, and she's working with the
abolitionists.
Abolitionists.
Yep.
She's literally on the cocktail circuit, going down and telling her stories all right, to raise money for the Underground Railroad.
Right, that was
with rich
that was
benefactors.
Yeah, that was a very real ongoing business where people would do lecture tours to support the abolitionist movement, and obviously she would be a perfect spokesperson.
And meanwhile, Django is still a bounty hunter, and he's still really good.
By the way, this.
But he decided to stay out of the South. That's why he's messing around with the Southwest.
Moving to the West, yep.
You notice she's getting closer.
Yeah, this nice girl here whose birthday it is wants you to read her shirt. So.
Picture, please.
I believe you.
Happy birthday.
Go ahead.
Hi, my question is for Quentin. I just wanted to ask you, you've done like a wide variety of different movies, all that have a little bit of dark humor to them. What would you say your favorite scene is out of all your movies, if you had to pick one?
It's like picking your favorite kid.
Oh, wow. I actually think the two best scenes I ever wrote is the Hans Landa and the French farmer scene. Of Glorious Bastards. And the first script I ever wrote, True Romance, the whole Sicilian speech. Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper.
There's two guys sitting talking, fraught with tension.
Well, it was funny because it's like, I liked all the stuff I'd done after that, but that was my first script. And I knew I had never topped that scene, just as a scene was concerned. I go, well, that's definitely the one to beat, and I've come close, but I haven't topped it. And when I wrote the scene in Glorious Bastards, I go, I think I finally matched it. And
you're lucky to have Christoph to...
Yeah, well, yeah, he pulled it off.
Nailed it, yeah.
But the thing is, though, is I ended up writing that scene, and then couldn't figure out the rest of the story, so I had to put the script away. But I always knew I would eventually finish it at some point because that scene was too good not to make.
Right. And, you know, and the joy of being a friend of Quentin's is to, you know, I remember when you were working on Inglourious Basterds and he invited me by the house and he pulls out this spiral notebook and he starts, you know, reading and acting out the scenes. You know, and you were Hitler. I remember driving home and I go, and you have this incredible monologue with the Sam Jackson character, which is not in the final film. Yeah. You gave this speech, which was a Malcolm X meets Martin Luther King speech that just rocked me to my core. I remember driving home going, Quentin Tarantino is the best black writer in Hollywood.
What? Okay, happy birthday, Jamie.
Are there any other birthdays we should be aware of?
Yeah.
Like you, sir. Congrats.
About it was, yeah, I am a Tupac fan, and he was a fan of mine. And I remember him and Snoop Dogg were starting a movie company, and they did a press conference announcing it. And they were like, yeah, we're going to get like Quentin Tarantino to make movies for us.
Because we can afford it.
Yeah. And then when we approached Tupac's mom about using the rights, she goes, oh, no, he can do it because my son loved Quentin's movies. He would be happy as a clown to have him have his stuff in there. So that was half the reason she said yes. But actually how that track came in is when we were making our deal with the record company, they did a little kind of promo video to turn us on, to make us want to do it. And they put this unreleased track on it. And when the promo was over, we go, what the hell was that? And they go, well, that's this Tupac track that we own and whatever. I go, can we use that? I go, well, yeah, if you make the deal with our company, you can. If his mom says it's okay. And that's kind of how it happened.
You know, I mean, your choice of music and how you weave it in your film is such a vital part of your film. I need to talk to you. What do you think when you and I come up with a recommended listening list for each issue? Facebook or this?
Yeah. Well, and particularly if we, if there's like you get almost like an opening credit sequence of like characters riding with landscapes and everything. Okay, take this Morricone soundtrack, put on track 3 of the Big Gun Down.
So you guys like that idea?
We'll have the playlist on dynamite.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, Matt, I have a quick question for you. So Zorro is older, but is he fully retired?
Oh no.
So this is not like he's putting on the I gotta do it one more time.
The first line of the caption says something to the effect of, and for some the call to adventure never fades.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and part of the plot is that things that by this point in his life, things in California have kind of settled down. So he goes looking for other trouble. He finds it.
And it's not just Zorro, it's Bernardo too.
Yeah, right, Bernardo. A vital part of Zorro is his relationship with Bernardo, his Alfred. In our narrative, they grew up together. For anybody that hasn't read the origin story we did, Zorro is son of a Spanish nobleman, but also a Native American woman. So he's half. He's mestizo, mixed blood. And and his grandmother's a shaman, and when they come of age, even though the father doesn't want it, he wants him to be raised as a proper caballero, the mother and grandmother send them out on their spirit quest. And when they're out, they separate, and Bernardo ends up finding the colt as his spirit guide that ultimately becomes Tornado, Zorro's horse. And Zorro, Diego eventually comes staggering back to camp after days and days and days, and just feels like he's failed his spirit quest, because he eventually gets bit by a rattlesnake, and he got lost, and he never really found what he thought was. And it turned out this little fox came to visit him every night by his campfire, and eventually led him back. And for anybody that doesn't know Spanish, Zorro means the fox. And so his grandmother says to him, no, that little fox was your totem. You must learn its ways. The moon will be your mother, the cave will be your home. You will disguise yourself in the night as you hunt what can't be found. And so Bernardo and Diego are intricately linked, and that continues through this storyline as well.
One of the first departures that I've seen for you into non-traditional film is the awesome Japanese animation sequence in the first Kill Bill. It's great. I know that you said that there's an extended sequence of that, and that there's a ton of other footage. I know you've been asked this before, but when can we expect to see the whole bloody affair, Kill Bill?
Yeah, what's going on with that is, I originally, back when Kill Bill was going to be one movie, I wrote an even longer anime sequence. So you see, you see in the movie, you see her kill a boss Masamoto, but then there was that long-haired guy.
Yeah.
Well, the big sequence was her fight with that guy, and Production IG, who did it, they also did Blood the Last Vampire and Ghost in the Shell, said, look, we can't do that and finish that in time for your thing, and you can't have a 30-minute piece in your movie. I go, oh, okay. And so that was my favorite part, but it was the most elaborate and whatever. It was the one I was the most detailed on. But yeah, it's the one you could drop. So we dropped it, and then later when Production IG heard that we were talking about doing Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair, they still had the script. So without even being commissioned to do it, they just did it.
Awesome.
They just did it. They go, look, we're just going to do it. We'll pay for it ourselves, and it's going to be so great that you're going to have to use it. And we kind of know what he wants, and because it was literally written down shot for shot for shot for shot for shot. And so they did it, and it's really, really terrific. And so anyway, the Weinstein Company and myself, we're talking about actually coming out with it maybe sometime in the next, not before the year's out, but sometime in the next year. They're talking about it, and maybe even have a limited theatrical engagements of it.
Yeah.
This is a question, I hope you don't hate me for asking this, but I'm sure it's on everyone's mind. I was at your reading for The Hateful Eight, and are you guys going to greenlight that? And it would mean a lot if you tell me yes or no. I'll be on my knees for you.
Yeah.
He seems passionate.
Yes, we are going to be doing The Hateful Eight. All for you, buddy. I wasn't going to, but I kind of just decided right now. So, Rich, you gotta get that going by January. Think you can do that?
I got it. Next.
Done.
Hey, Bane, how you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Oh God.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. My question is for Quentin, as an aspiring. I just completed production on a feature film. We shot for 2 years, and we're now in the editing process. And my question is for you: when you were first finishing up with your first independent feature films, did you have any advice or experience you'd like to share about once it's done editing and when you're in that process of it?
Well, what I would suggest for anybody who does an independent feature is first things first, try to get it on the film festival circuit. That's one of the most important things. That makes you legit. Enter it in different film festivals. There's festivals all over America, all around the world. Enter it into them, and then if you can, literally go to all those different festivals and just kind of see how the film plays with audiences, get to know the other filmmakers that are on the same circuit with you, the other different movies, and that's how I built my career. I was even talking to my agent the other day that went all around the world with Reservoir Dogs. I'd hardly been anywhere, barely left Los Angeles County. I mean, I had, but not that much. And then all of a sudden I was going to different continents, all in the course of 1 year. And a friend of mine said, hey, this movie's going to be your passport to the world, and it was. And the thing is, from going there and doing press and meeting other filmmakers, that set up kind of my career. That 1 year on the film festival circuit. I think the same thing happened with you, Reggio, with House Party.
Absolutely.
It set up my entire career, basically. You know, especially the international career that I ended up having. So that would be my advice, man. Start entering it into film when you get it finished. Enter it into film festivals, and just go.
Make a movie, see the world.
Break a leg, man.
Hi.
Hey.
So my question was, film written and directed by Quentin Tarantino.
You know, it's funny because if you had asked me that a few years ago, I probably would have said, I don't know, it's not really my genre, I'm not sure. But you never know. I have kind of an idea. It wouldn't be something I would be doing in the next year or so, but it actually is an idea. It's a little flower right now. It's a little bean sprout, all right? But those bean sprouts tend to turn into bean stalks. And so this would be the first time I wouldn't say, no, not really. This is the first time, no, maybe.
Yeah, right on.
It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be actually, it wouldn't be a spaceship-y kind of thing, traveling through space, going to other planets. It would be more of a earthbound sci-fi thing, but sci-fi nevertheless.
Hi, Mr. Tarantino, how you doing?
Hey.
My question is, originally you were going to do a Hateful Eight graphic novel. I was wondering if, I know that as you've announced the movie's going to be made, are you also going to plan on doing a graphic novel alongside with it, or has that been shut down?
It wasn't so much a graphic novel, it was more like I was actually thinking of just publishing the script, basically. And either publishing the script or turning it into a novel itself. It wasn't going to be a graphic novel per se. I don't really think The Hateful Eight actually works itself the Hateful Eight is kind of just perfect to do as a movie and then to basically rewrite it as a play. I mean, I can actually see it being in the Samuel French collection of plays and people just putting it on, and I kind of have to restructure it the way it is now, but I've even kind of figured out how to do that. So I think that will probably be the Hateful Eight's other life, would be as a theatrical production.
I was wondering if you could reboot any franchise and put your own spin on it, what would it be?
Oh, let's see here. Oh, are you a beat up Mia? Yeah! I have to say that a series of movies that I'd like to kind of put my spin on, in particular, would be Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's been a lot of remakes of it and everything, but I've got an idea that I think I'd kind of like to do, and I'd actually kind of, for the first time, like to take the point of view of the pod people. I actually don't think they're so bad. I actually want to take it from the pod people's perspective, and actually where you're actually rooting for the pod people.
You guys are the reason I'm going into film, so thank you so much. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. My question is, above all your other projects that could have been comic books, what was it about Django that drew you to it the most?
Well, it was kind of the idea, well, one was, it's kind of a two-part idea as far as like why I did the comic book and why I did the adaptation in the first place and why I'm doing this one now. Kind of mentioned it already, but let me make it a little bit more succinct. Was the idea, in the case of Django, and it was, Kill Bill was kind of similar, was a similar thing to that as well. Most people when they write scripts, they write these basically blueprints that are their blueprints that they're going to use to make the movie. In the case of both Django and Kill Bill, I just wrote big effing novels that I proceeded to adapt to a movie every single day on the set. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I mean, a little bit old before my time. But it's an invigorating way to work, to say the least.
Django's also your most straight-up heroic film.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, that was one of the reasons I didn't want to monkey around with any of the structure or anything like that, because that hero's journey was kind of important. If anyone ever actually read the script for Django, because it was out there online and everything, there was that whole big chapter that was Broomhilda's chapter. Well, I wrote that kind of knowing I would never shoot it, because it would break up the Django story. But I just liked it, and I wanted to know what happened. And I actually feel my scripts are meant to be read, and movies are meant to be seen, and they're not necessarily similar. But the thing about it was, as opposed to Kill Bill, which we did 2 movies, we were kind of able to use pretty much all the material. In the case of Django, was thrown away as far as the movie was concerned. So the graphic novel adaptation was a way to literally use everything in the script, and even things that changed, because I took stuff out and that would change the story. But in the graphic novel, it doesn't, and it's just a full-on thing. I remember, anybody who read that graphic novel, I remember when we got the pages of the axe fight, where he kills all the trackers with the axe. I was like, man, that was a good fight. Maybe I should have shot that. That was pretty good.
Let me throw a prompt in here. One thing I asked you when we first got together was about the character Brunhilde.
Yeah.
Because Quentin's so good at writing, very strong, very heroic, very ballsy women, and Brunhilde is basically somebody for Django to rescue.
Yeah.
And you said.
Yeah, well, the thing about it was, I thought the fact that, in fact, some people use that as a criticism against her, that she was just a damsel in distress. And I go, well, she is a damsel in distress, and she's the princess. She's the princess trapped in the tower of the evil kingdom by the evil king. And it's Django's job as the knight to go save her. And
Schultz even tells that story.
Yeah, he even tells the story. And it's the idea that you know, a black woman in that time could have a black man who loves her so much that after he actually extricates himself from a living hell, he will go deeper, deeper, deeper into hell to save his woman. And I thought that was a fairy tale that needs to be told, and men need to hear it, and women need to hear it growing up. But the thing is, why I'm doing this one though is, like I said, I don't really want to do a whole series of Django movies, but the idea of like Django was going to have many, many different adventures. And like I couldn't quite let it go enough to do a bunch of paperbacks by having other people do them, but I did like that idea. And this offered me a chance to keep control of the mythology and the story, but actually really tell a different story, a different adventure.
Yep.
You know, benefits of it is now all these characters in the Dynamite universe all exist in the same universe. And so it just hit me just a few weeks ago. I go, wait a minute, so Django and Tonto actually exist in the same universe?
They could share some stories.
Yeah. So I could be down with Django Tonto.
That just sounds like an awesome band.
Yeah.
Jam on it.
Yeah, I've been in line this whole time. I think you might have just asked the question I was going to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I love Lone Ranger. It's my favorite title that I'm reading right now. And if there were to be a Lone Ranger Django crossover in the future, how do you see those characters interacting? Would it be like a Django versus Lone Ranger? Like
No, he's
Batman
with
versus
Tonto,
Superman?
obviously.
Yeah, I actually, and I like Lone Ranger, don't get me wrong. But I think there could be something really kind of cool about Tonto having his own adventure. I haven't thought 2 seconds about it other than when it'd be cool. That's as far as I've gotten. All right, but theoretically, I do like the idea of Tonto just being on his own in some adventure and him and Django bump into each other.
Back in the old days when Gold Key Comics published Lone Ranger, they also had a Tonto title. It was just Tonto's solo adventure. They also had a Silver title.
Oh yeah,
like the horse's adventure.
Oh yeah, well, don't get into that. Like Trigger had his own comic. Yeah, along with and White Rod. Yeah.
Silver and
the Alex Toth ones?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, man.
I just want to say thank you everyone for coming, especially Quentin.
Oh, thanks, man.
So my question for you is, since you're amazing at putting minorities on the spotlight, and there hasn't been an Asian American lead in a long time, would you be able to? Would you be open to rebooting some sort of Bruce Lee reboot, like a Game of Death, or putting it on Django Zorro, Chen Zhen from Chinese Connection?
Yeah, Chen Zhen would be a good. He's a good character, mate. He's a good character. I don't have any plans on doing anything like that, but I could see it. I mean, frankly. You know, the team up that would exist, that would be awesome, would be Django and Kwai Chang Caine. I mean, that would be the awesome one. All right. I mean, it's the same setting, it's the same era. Yeah.
All Warner's on Monday.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of shared universes, Dynamite also has Shaft now.
Yeah, so it's like, you've got Django and Broomhilda's great grandson.
I think it works.
So that's kind of that's the second sequel to some degree.
Kicking ass for 6 generations.
Now, I'm expecting at some point, in your Shaft comic book, to talk about, great grandmother Broomhilda.
Reggie will make it happen.
She was bad. You didn't mess with her.
Yeah, we were talking about, when exactly did they drop the Vaughn from the name? The end of Django Unchained is hardly over, all right? They have to fight their way out of the South, and everyone's looking for them, but,
they're capable.
But since Django will eventually meet Zorro, they do.
Hey, yes, Quentin. I was wondering if you were ever interested in doing a movie that wasn't R-rated, a little less gory, more lighthearted, and more calm.
Yes. Fuck no.
Tarantino Care Bears.
Yeah.
Spurs 3.
you know, you throw a couple of F words in and it kind of gets an R. And so far I just always thrown a few F words in.
Guys, we're sadly near the end of this panel.
Oh man.